everything feels risky, everything feels unclear.
Each time we faced uncertainty, we emerged stronger, not because we avoided it, but because we focused on what we could control. And what you can control is
Hey, Larissa here. Welcome to the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Let's talk about the storm that's hitting our salons right now. And I'm not talking about like a trend or a single industry shift. I'm talking about something that's like, it's bigger and it's bigger than the market, something that feels like everything's happening all at once and it's leaving salon owners feeling like, you know, they're kind of paddling upstream with no paddle in sight. So I've got Joel joining me on the podcast today. And Joel, our owners might be wondering, like, why are things feeling so unpredictable, overwhelming, and honestly, like a little bit paralyzing? I'm really noticing this. Why do our owners feel like their decisions feel riskier than ever and so kind of not making any at all? Why are a team feeling wobbly? Why is our confidence like quietly crumbling? So today in our episode, we're going to unpack the real reason behind the chaos and more importantly, like how do we rise above it? And there are some salons that are sinking. The gap is widening because others are quietly just winning and smashing it. And I want to let you know it's got nothing to do with luck. So if you've been caught up in the cyclone, you know, stuck in the fog, juggling all of the things with no recipe, this one is for you. So Joel, shall we dive in?
let's dive in. Sounds great.
So we've been talking to some owners recently and we've been feeling the vibes, but it's not just salon owners, right? This is a kind of a worldwide thing.
This is a worldwide thing. So many of you will be aware that in the world right now, it's often described as we're in the times of VUCA, VUCA. And that's an acronym for the time that we're in. And so if we just rewind back over the past couple of 100 years, things went quite linear. So there would be a war and that would be followed by a period of growth. And you could almost predict the future based on history. But what we've had probably in the last couple of decades is this VUCA time. And just as examples of what VUCA is, it's kind of like, you know, in 2008, there was a recession that came out of nowhere. It was devastating for a lot of people. In 2020, I think it was, we had COVID. Just from a personal experience, like everyone in New Zealand was expecting that Wellington was going to have a big earthquake somewhere in the last 20 years. And me and my wife were in Christchurch when the big earthquake hit, and no one was expecting that. And so this VUCA, if you like, time that we're in is an acronym, and it probably, amongst many things, Riss, it helps us to better understand that how things are now are different to how things were in the past. And so I think it's important to understand what the VUCA is.
And just to be clear, it's not Veruca.
It's not Veruca.
It's VUCA. VUCA.
Absolutely. It's VUCA. And should we dive in? Should we get right on into it?
I think so. So why don't we start with, well, what is the V for VUCA? Do you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, cool. So V stands for volatility. And like some of those examples that I gave you just before, they're not really predictable things. Like all of a sudden, something happens in the world and it throws us off course. We weren't expecting it. Just feels like you're at the effect of things. And this obviously happens at a global scale with a lot of regularity. But my assumption is also, Risk, that it doesn't just happen at a global scale, it actually happens in our industry as well. Like right down to the owners that are listening, the therapists, the stylists.
Okay, so volatility in the world. So what does that look like in the salon? So I feel like salons can be volatile just on any given day, given the client that may or may not walk through the door. Like you don't know who's going to walk through the door, what mood they're in, what do they need. And you have to adjust accordingly, or it might be like everything's going really well and suddenly somebody resigns and you finally just got them fully booked and profitable and now they resign. And it's like, you did not see that coming. Is that a good example of like
exactly
volatility?
it. We've had owners before that have taken their team away to a retreat and everyone's on the same page, Russ. It's going fantastic. And then a week later, this out of nowhere volatile situation unfolds and it just throws you.
So I had 4 years where we had 14 babies, and in those 4 years, I had literally 2 or 3 people pregnant, just permanently pregnant. Like, obviously, they had the babies and the next one was pregnant, but the next one was pregnant before the other one had the baby, and there was always 2 or 3 people. That was a pretty volatile 4 years, not to mention that I had 2 of those babies. It was a pretty volatile period. And, like, what can you do? You can't. We did threaten to start dropping the pill into the water. This is like, guys, this is crazy.
Brilliant.
That was pretty volatile.
It's pretty volatile. And so what happens is when you have these life experiences or industry experiences or job experiences that are quote unquote volatile, it actually starts to seep into this next aspect of the U, which represents and stands for uncertainty. So now that you know that bad shit can happen to good people all the time or with some kind of regularity, it kind of puts you on defense mode a little bit. It's like, I'm not too sure about the road ahead. It's like you're driving in the fog and you know there's road in front of you, but you're just a bit cautious. You're just a little bit hesitant. And then all of a sudden that starts to show up in your leadership. Like you're just a little bit unsure. You're just a little bit, I don't know exactly how to be because bad stuff has happened in the past. And that level of uncertainty becomes really, really challenging because the reality is you don't always know exactly what to do. Uncertainty is actually a part of life, but we don't want to expand that or accentuate that or give too much to that because apparently we're leading a team. Apparently we've got a business.
Yeah, that uncertainty can kind of make us a little bit like a deer in headlights. Like, I've got to make a decision so I don't get run over by the car, but I'm not sure what to do, so we actually do nothing. Do you know, like, I'm not profitable. Do I put my prices up? I'm too scared to do that because I don't know what's going to happen as a result. Will my clients leave? I'm too scared to hire because I'm uncertain about what that's going to do. Will I be able to pay them? Will I be able to get to clients? Will the team like them? Like, everything feels risky, everything feels unclear. And the thing is, in uncertainty, I think often we default to doing nothing.
Yeah.
And we just stand still. Do you know?
It kind of makes sense. Like even just as simple as going, okay, I'm at a crossroads and I could go left or I could go right. I'm not too sure. So I'm just gonna stand here I'll just stand here for a
Look
bit.
around.
And in the context of business, it's not so great. It's not so great. Like you can do it for a little bit, like for a day, but you can't do it for too long. And so that leads us into the C. So we've got V, volatility, we've got U, uncertainty, and then we've got C, which represents or stands for complexity. And so the problem here is that what we're experiencing is an overwhelming amount of options. And sometimes as owners or leaders, we lack the information to be able to make great decisions. And I kind of love the metaphor, like, like a symphony. Like, let's imagine you're orchestrating a symphony. I've never done this before, but I can imagine because I've seen it. And let's just say you've got your violinist over there and they represent your senior stylist or your senior therapist, and they're a little bit off. It's not just they're a little bit off, it actually influences not only the rest of the symphony, but the entire product that you produce.
Mm-hmm.
And so complexity is like it's there's so many moving parts, there's so many things to consider, and it just doesn't feel like a straight, simple road forward. Everything affects everything.
Yeah. And I think, it's almost a bit of an entrepreneurial curse or a business curse when you can see everything. Like, that's a skill in itself. Like, when you at the top of the pile, you're the one that's leading the business, you have the ability to see all the moving parts. The violinist stylist over there, they're just looking at their own violins and
reading the music.
Yeah, I like that. They're reading the music, but your job is to see all of the things.
Yeah.
That in itself creates complexity because as soon as you tune up one thing over there, the other thing needs to happen. And so again, that complexity stops us from doing anything because now there's going to be a ripple effect. Do you know? Like, you do one thing, it affects everything else. So, look, it's just complex.
Yeah,
being in business is complex without even being in the VUCA term.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yeah. VUCA.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God.
You're fully got the VUCA. We'll come up with an acronym for that another time.
Oh my goodness.
And so complexity is really about like you said, Riss, there's so much information, and that in and of itself can be a little bit of a challenge for us. And so
I think sometimes we can make the mistake when there's so much complexity that we're looking for a silver bullet.
Oh,
We're looking
yeah.
for the one thing because there's so many things that need fixing.
Yeah.
And so we're hunting for like, there's got to be a simple answer, but somehow we make that simple answer complex at the same time. So here's an example. Like if I just change my Salon software, it'll fix all of the problems.
Everything will be solved.
Everything will be solved. Like I'm just going to, like, I'll go away from Katoomba and I'll go to Timely, or I'll move to Shortcuts, or I'm going to go to, what's the other one?
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Zanoti.
Yeah, like I'll go to Zanoti and it will fix everything. But actually it just creates more complexity. Like there's just not one thing that solves everything. It just doesn't work like that.
Nah, not at all. Absolutely. And so we've got volatility that happens sometimes and it throws us. We've got uncertainty, and that's not a pocket that you want to sit in for too long because it's part of the human experience, but you don't want to live your leadership life like that. We've also got complexity. Like there's so much information. There's so many things that you can do. Everything affects everything. And then the last one, the A, represents ambiguity. And ambiguity, unlike complexity, is almost like there's some information missing. It's like I don't actually have the information to move forward. So on the weekend, Mum finally revealed to me her meatball recipe. Like she keeps that shit really close to her chest. And she gave me like, she's like, there's this Italian part that you do with the bread and you squeeze the milk out of it. And I was like, I felt really privileged to be able to get it. And I was so fascinated listening to her. And I was so caught up in the fact that Mum had finally shared. I almost wanted to reach out to my brothers and sisters. Like, I've got the recipe now. Anyway,
the golden son.
I didn't write it down. She leaves, and then I start making it, and I'm like, I know that part, but I'm missing that part. And because I'm missing the next step of Mum's special recipe that cannot be found on Google, it cannot be found on, AI or anything like that, that ambiguity means that I'm stuck, and the pathway forward is no longer clear for me. And that's also a challenge for salon owners as they find themselves in situations where they don't actually have the information to move forward.
And it's almost like there's so much ambiguity, or like you don't even know what to search for. The problem with the information age that we're in right now is like there is so much information. How do you know which is the right piece of information? And it's like that is unclear. And so you can patch up with all the different types of milks and breads for your meatball. Didn't even know that it was in meatballs, by the way. It's like, how do you know which is the right thing? And so again, we're a bit deer in headlights.
Yeah.
No metrics, no goals, no data, like it's vague and it just becomes quite conflicting. And then you go and ask your mum or your brother or your, your husband, and they're not going to give you the right advice either. So it's almost like too much information just creates no information.
Yeah. I was actually on a coaching call yesterday, Riss, and one of our owners, we were game planning. And I was like, what's your goal? What's your focus? And what does that look like in 12 months? And then what does that look like over the next 6 weeks? And her response was so clear and compelling related to the numbers. And my response to it was, wow, that's really, really clear amongst a whole lot of other owners. And her response to that was, oh yeah, that's the only way to do it. Is like, you got to take all of the ambiguity out of it and just go, this is the number that would represent the goal. And if I hit that, I'll know I've done it.
I feel really proud that she said that because we all believe the numbers will always tell you what to do next in your business. So I'm really pleased that she is.
She's modeling.
Yeah.
She was not ambiguous.
I love that.
But I guess that's the reality of the times that we live in, the age that we're shifting out of this one into that one. It feels like AI is well and truly here. Technology's moving really fast. Everything's changing at the speed of light. And if you just sit there and wait, Riss, there's going to be volatility, there's going to be uncertainty, there's going to be complexity, and there's certainly going to be ambiguity. That is status quo.
Well, let's not leave our listeners like in VUCA. Hey, I got it right.
You got it.
Let's not leave them in VUCA. I feel like for us this year, like we're only in finishing up the first quarter, we have been fast tracking. We've been badass operators.
Yeah.
We've been superhumaning. Like we are not experiencing VUCA internally. So what is it? Maybe we should share like what are the things that are really going to help anybody who's feeling the effect of VUCA?
Yes.
Not be in that space and actually step into something else. I know we got a model for that.
Yes, we do. We do. And I just want to shout out to Todd Herman, who wrote The Alter Ego Effect. So, in response to VUCA, which is a worldwide known phenomenon, reality, experience that we're all going through, he created the CALM framework, CALM. And it's so beautiful, elegant, and relevant, useful when you are thinking about the times that we're in right now. So, it starts off with C. Should we dive on in?
Well, I love calm because,
Yeah.
like, I always feel like when I remember, that's the place that I go to in amongst chaos, like just actively, like it's a good word. Like when you're
Mm,
calm, you can think. When you're
yeah.
calm, you can just calm the mind and be clear.
Yes.
So what is the C, John?
So good, calm. Yeah. It's such a
Because it's counterintuitive to all of those other words.
it is. Yeah, it absolutely is. So if you're taking notes, CALM is the acronym. The C represents something that we hold very, very close here at SOC, which is clarity. And so earlier on, we talked about driving in the fog and not knowing, you know the roads there, but you don't know exactly where to go. And so clarity, metaphorically, is like switching your headlights on, so you can see just far enough in front of you to go, I'm on the road and I can keep going. And if you keep following that, even all through the night, you can drive from the east coast of the USA to the west coast. Like you can do that. You can move, you can get some distance when you have clarity.
Hey, it's me again. I just wanted to interrupt and jump in here quickly to say thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate you being here. Just one question though. If you are listening to this episode and thinking, oh my God, this is me, but I'm just not sure what to do, well, don't worry. I got some strategies for you. The Salon Mastery program will help you develop and implement 100K team, 100K mindset, strategies and steps designed to help you lead your team to enjoy 100K careers and install the 100K mindset and motivation so you can help build that inside of your team. The systems, the processes to master the 100K day so you can build the $1 Million Salon. So I want to invite you to join me for a complimentary $1 Million strategy call. We'll discuss your business, your role in the business. Let's see if I'm the right person to help you grow your business and your team. Together, we can reach the $1 Million mark. All you need to do is click the Apply Now button in the show notes of this very episode. You're welcome to book a time, a strategy call. We'll have a chat. All right, that's enough for me. Let's get back to the episode.
I just one other thing about clarity that I've realized after, like you, Russ, like 20 years working with high performers, watching them fail and succeed and fail and succeed, what you start to realize is that the successful people are the ones that really commit, but most people will never commit until they have clarity.
Well, there's two parts to it, right? One, if you're on the East Coast and you know you're going to the West Coast, like you need to know where you're going. Like having some clarity around that's pretty good because otherwise you're just kind of going with the wind.
Mm,
And then I like your analogy of like the fog lights are on so you can just see enough in front of you. In our world, we call that the 6-week game plan.
we do.
And that's having a really clear business strategy plan for the next 6 weeks. But you've got to know what the North Star is. You've got to know like where you're going. Are you heading to $1 million? Are you heading somewhere else?
Yes.
And then the 6-week game plan, because that gives you the very next step. Because the number one reason that people don't take action is they don't know what action to take. There's too many choices.
There's so many actions.
So many actions. And so when you narrow it down to a really short time frame, back in the day, we used to do quarterly planning.
Yeah.
And there was just too much on the list, too far into the future, run out of steam. Like quarterly planning just is too long. And in a volatile VUCA world, like short, tight time periods, less on the list, high execution, get really clear and just get shit done.
Yeah, we've got that strategy nailed with our owners, and I feel like the buy-in is so super high. And I love like this week for me in the business is game planning week. Like I'm game planning with literally hundreds of owners this week. And the beautiful thing about it is we just stop with all of the firefighting and strategy and all the stuff, and it's just like, what is it that I actually want this year and in the next 6 weeks? It's such a great conversation.
We've just done that ourselves.
We had
We just had 2 days together, all of the team.
Yep.
I was going to say all the team flew in, well, 2 of the team flew in. We all got
Ye-
together for 2 days, and we just spent some time game planning, getting really clear, connecting. And now we know what we're doing for the next 6 weeks. You know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly what we're doing. We also know what we're not doing, because
Yeah.
sometimes to know what you're not doing is really important, so you can actually do the things you're going to do.
Absolutely. Just one other thing on clarity, because I think this is actually how you get clarity is not always known. And later on this year, we're going to Fiji with our owners. We're taking them away for 3 full days of intensive, we call it, but most people will take a week. And during that period of time, Larissa, myself, and some of the other Salon Owners Collective coaches will run people through a series of really informative, really inspiring frameworks and strategies that will help them to move their business forward. Sometimes, actually, what happens over those 3 days is, and it takes people to fly to Fiji sometimes to do this, or to spend that amount of time just stepping back from their business, is on day 2.89. They go, "Oh, I've got it. I know what to do next." And it had nothing to do with the last 3 days of what we've taught, but they got it by being there. They got it by being around other savvy salon owners that have high expectations, that are super supportive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the puzzle pieces just finally fit. The right
Exactly.
piece clicks in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got to know how you get clarity. And if you don't know, then come and ask.
Got it. Love it. Bit of a game plan process.
But if again,
Well, to be fair, the roadmap really is like, there is a clear roadmap of what to do, stage by stage, to get to the $1 million mark, or from the $1 million plus. But it's knowing the next piece
yes,
for you, given your stage of business where you're at right now.
yes, I'm going to go do this. No, don't go do that.
Yeah.
Stay right there.
Later.
Yeah.
This first.
Yeah. That's like 6 steps away. You need to do that.
Yes, that helps.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're in the CALM framework.
Okay.
Thank you, Todd Herman. And we know that clarity is really, really important in these VUCA times. The second stage is action. And if I could add to that, I'd say taking action, not just action as an idea, but actually taking action.
Because now you're clear.
Now you're clear.
Now you know what to do.
So on the other side of clarity, if there is no action, that will be replaced with anxiety, because you know you could, you know you should, you know you can, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are someone that experiences too much anxiety by your own definition, like I'd like less of it, then the antidote to anxiety is action. There you go, the triple A's for you today. I used to be a whitewater kayaker. I don't even know if you know that. I was like 7 years hardcore whitewater kayaker. And one of the principles of whitewater kayaking is that you know, you're sitting in the kayak and you think that you're going to paddle down the river, and at times the paddle will be in and then it will be out. But if there's a wave coming at you, or there's a hydraulic, or there's a rock, it's not always clear on what to do. But what you get taught is always have your paddle in the water, because it actually provides stability and it provides information and feedback based on what's happening. And so, as we've already talked about, sometimes it can be like, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, the best thing you can do is to continue to take action, generally speaking. I think it's really important.
Okay. Yeah. And so part of taking action, I kind of mentioned it before, is like actually have less on the game plan. Like, don't overload it. Like, have less, a decent chunk that's realistic given the time that you have available. And for salon owners, like having that time available to work on the business can be a real roadblock.
Yes.
So wherever you are in the stage of unpacking, of being a stylist or a therapist, moving towards being an actual business owner, a salon CEO, doesn't matter where you are in this, where you are in that stage, be realistic about the time that you have available in your calendar to work on the business, so you can paddle the kayak forward and move forward in your business.
Absolutely.
And then fill up your game plan with a realistic amount, because you want to get that sense of achievement. If you're going to take action and you get the ticks at the end, that's how you get into momentum.
Yes.
And when you're in momentum, that gives you that really good feeling, and then you want to be in momentum again.
Yes.
If you pile it up with too many things and you can't get it done, you get a bunch of forward till next week, forward, and then we just feel shit and we feel like we can't achieve anything. So getting that process right is really important.
Yes.
And that's why it's useful to have a third party, another person to help you with that process, get out of your own goldfish bowl, so you can just get into taking massive action.
Yeah. And we see it like at some point someone will, for whatever the reason, maybe leave the program or they never come along, and they've got great intentions. They're like, okay, this year I want to turn over $1 million, or this year I want to have a 15% profit margin. Like they have a goal. Like they don't lack the goal. They're business people just like yourself. They've got great intentions. And then they go, right. And they've got all of the actions. They've got so many actions that they could take, and it becomes a combination of complex, ambiguous, uncertain, and then all of a sudden something volatile happens, and it's like you actually go off track for like 7 months and then realize in month 8, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to be this. And so the way that we counter that is not just with general action, but as you've talked about, is like knowing what does 6 weeks towards success look like over the 12-month period. And then if that's true, if we've like put rigor behind that outcome for 6 weeks, what are the specific actions? Not too many, not too little. It's kind of like the 3 beers, right? We want to get that right in the middle. The porridge can't be too hot or too cold. The beer can't be too hard or too soft. We want to get it just bang right in the middle so that it's almost undeniable that you succeed in a 6-week period. And if you do that once, can you do it again? Of course you can.
It's probably the number one roadblock to anybody progressing. Like sometimes I speak to new owners who want to come on board and they're like, well, will your program work? And it's like, well, it depends if you do the work.
Yeah.
And the number one roadblock to doing the work is having too much on the plate and actually not being able to realistically do the things that will the right thing at the right time with the right amount.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's some magic about taking action.
Some magic about taking action. So simple, but also so powerful as well.
All right. So calm has an L in it. Like I don't know what, like who wrote that word? It's not good English. Calm.
Calm.
So calm has an L in it.
It does.
Now, what does it stand for?
It's almost like there should be an R.
Calm.
Calm. But it's an L, and the L represents leadership, which I know is a word that for many people means different things. But I think this is actually the essence of the entire acronym. You said it earlier, Riss, that idea of staying calm, particularly when the world, the family, the team, business, the marketplace feels like it's a bit chaotic, a bit VUCA. Being able to step into the calm, and to actually set the tone. I'm actually trying to do it now. I'm trying to like slow down the pace. But we had an owner that came online yesterday in our coaching call. I was telling you about this earlier. And she was presenting as like, we've tried everything. It's not working. It's all out there. And being able to actually get her to influence her to be calm so that she can then access and be resourceful was the key in that coaching call. So I think leadership is a very wide topic, but being able to actually access your sense of calm and lead the people through your state, through your emotions, through your language is bloody critical when you run a business, when you run a team.
I actually think it's quite hard to do. It's quite hard to do. And let me give you an example, because I think it's really easy in VUCA times to feel the effect of all of those things, like it's happening to us. The world has changed and the prices went up and the COVID came and 14 babies arrived, and we feel really easy to feel like the life, the world, the universe is happening to us.
Yeah.
And then it's easy to get into, I'm going to call it a little bit of victim mindset, let's face it, that, okay, I was on a call yesterday and she said to me, why won't my team just step up and do it? She keeps getting complaints and why can't she? And, and she's not getting enough clients. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Whose business is it?
Yeah.
Like, if everyone was like you that all own businesses, and so instead of waiting for them to work harder than you for you to be happy, lead them. Like nobody was born to know how to build a clientele, how to upgrade, how to rebook, how to turn up at work on time. Like nobody's born knowing how to do that.
Yeah.
So it's our job to set the tone, lead the way, show them how to do it. And when they don't know, show them, teach them.
Yeah.
So I said to her, she was complaining about them not rebooking. And I said to her, well, Jemima, we'll call her Jemima, okay? Jemima, when did you last run a rebooking workshop? She said, well, I haven't. I said, well, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
So just remembering that leadership is actually leading the way, not waiting for everybody else to do the work first before you show up at the table.
She's very lucky that she had you to reveal that blind spot, because seriously, as you guys know, like you could go another 10 years without realizing that I've never actually led in the area of, was it rebooking?
Mhm.
Yeah. Like here's a good way to understand the L in calm leadership is, am I leading? Am I leading by example?
Or am I waiting?
Am I waiting? Yeah, waiting for the conditions to get better, the market to get better, the trends to get better,
The people to show up at work.
yeah, because I mean, we've talked about this a lot, and we talk about it at our intensives. Is like, if you can just shift from below the line, being reactive, which is a normal human condition, and go above the line to proactive, your whole life will change. Like everything will change.
Like somebody has to go first. Like someone has to have the first step to make the shift. And guess who it needs to be? It needs to be the business owner. It does not need to be the apprentice. It does not need to be the senior stylist that's been with you 5 years. Like you can't expect them to show up more than you.
Yes.
And I remember even sometimes, in my own family going, why aren't my teenagers doing the thing? And it's like, well, actually, I'm the adult. I have to go first.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait for them to pick up their socks. Like I got to lead the way. So, yeah, we just got to show up.
We've got to show up. I think without so CALM, we're on leadership, but I actually think the leadership piece, it actually sits in real life between I've got clarity and I need to take action. It's just before you take action. It's like, it's me that has to do it. So we're not going to change the acronym, but just in reality, you've like, I'm the leader. I've got to go first. I've got to step up, and then you take the action.
Because people will follow. People want to follow someone, because if they're not following you as the leader of the business, guess who they're following? Somebody on Instagram.
Yeah.
So make them follow you.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I think there's a study, it's like 79, like when asked, what is it that you want in your leader? And 79 of people say, I want to be inspired.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That people just want to be inspired by their leader. So keep leading.
All right. Shall we talk about M?
We should talk about M.
Which is also, oh no, it is part of calm.
That is part of calm. Yeah, it is.
There's no M in
CALM. So I've just taken a little bit of a break in my CrossFit, but the rower, the rowing machine. So if anyone's ever jumped on a rowing machine before, the first pull takes a lot of effort. And if you've ever watched, I don't know if you can see me on the camera, if you've ever watched like someone race on a rower, the way that they start is to go click, 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 pull. Like they do like 5 little ones to get it going real fast. That's the trick. Okay. If you were trying to race like 100 or 200 meters on the rower. Anyway, as you know, once you get going, once you pull the rower, there's this thing in the thing, it's called a flywheel, and it starts spinning, right? And if you recycle and do the next row before it goes down, it maintains something. And this is really, really important, because in the fitness world, it means it's not so hard. Like you've done the work, you've got it up to this point, and so you can now just not cruise, but almost. Like you've got to that point, and it's called momentum. So you create it with the flywheel and the rower, and you also create it every single day in business with your team by doing these small daily actions that lead to something pretty awesome. And those actions could be anything, but they should add up to something that you're proud of, that you're like, oh, that's who we are. That's how we roll. That's what we do. That represents good, great, excellent, world class.
So one of the things that we're really good at, I think, in our team, but also inside of Salon Mastery and the 100K Accelerator, is shouting out the wins. Like we start every meeting without a doubt with what's the win. And you could argue that we just talk about it way too much, and it's like, I just told you my win like yesterday. But doubling down on the win doubles down on momentum. It's like the little pull that keeps the wheel spinning.
Yes.
Because if you're constantly winning, well, then you're constantly winning. Like who doesn't want to be constantly winning? And I think especially as creative entrepreneurs, we can get really, one of our one of the things we're really good at is seeing the future or what needs to happen next or what the problem or the gap is.
Yes.
And we have a vision for the future and what it would look like. And the problem with constantly being in the future is that we're constantly not achieving because it's always far away from us in the future. We're always trying to get to somewhere better. And that was almost in that goal of trying to be better, we almost lose momentum because we're constantly never achieving that.
Yeah.
So we've got to bring it back to today and go, what do we achieve today on the journey towards, the promised land?
Yes.
And so constantly staying in the win or reframing a loss. So let me give you an example that happened this week with our operations manager.
Yeah.
Last week, a couple of our support tickets for my Salon CEO software, tickets came in, and somewhere along the way they got lost and she missed a couple of them. She was feeling really bad about it. And I was like, she was feeling really bad about it. And I said to her, but actually what you achieved then is that you created a whole new communication system around how to make sure that in the future you never miss a ticket again. And she was like, oh yeah, I actually won because I created a system and now that's never going to happen again.
Right.
So we could have gone, boo-hoo, somebody didn't get their ticket answered in 24 hours as per the goal.
Yeah.
But instead we went, freaking heck, we just leveled up the whole, how do we support our people better?
Yeah.
We stayed
so good. So good. So momentum it can often feel like this kind of out there concept, like how do I get into it? And I'm just going to be really frank and to the point. Like it's actually really easy. So 3 quick wins in a day. So for example, get up early, like 5 a.m., exercise, eat an intentional breakfast, and do something really good for your business. You'll be in momentum. It's so freaking easy. Doesn't mean it's simple, but that's how you create momentum. And what starts to happen is the more momentum that you have, the more resilient you are, because you've by getting into quick wins, like 3 quick wins or getting into momentum, you actually build up a buffer against all of the VUCA on the outside. And so this is not just a great idea that you should remain calm and develop momentum, but it is actually the way that you navigate your way through the volatility that you can't predict. And that becomes actually quite important because you, like us, we don't know exactly what's around the corner, but we're not going to subscribe to the anxiety associated with that. We're actually going to take control of the controllables and do the things that we can control and show up the very best that we can by getting ourselves as leaders, as Salon CEOs, into momentum.
All right. I love that. I feel like we nailed the calm.
We did.
I think
with an L.
Calm with an L. We're feeling calm.
I'm feeling pretty calm.
I'm feeling pretty calm. So what's the bottom line of all this really, Joel?
The bottom line of all of this is that if you don't have clarity about where you're going, you have to find it. It's the very first step. And then once you've got that, make sure that you're really clear about your pathway, the actions that's going to move you forward, because that feels really good. Never forget or underestimate the power of going first, of leading well. That is part of your job description. And then last but certainly not least, don't wait for the outside world to give you favor. Start to create momentum from the inside out, and you'll show up to your family, to your relationships, to your own health and well-being as a winner and a real leader.
So what's interesting about that, what you just said, is don't wait for the outside to give you favor, just take action. What's really interesting about that, just the way that the world, universe, God, whoever works, is you start to show up in that way, then the world starts to show up in your favor. We call it, it's working for you, not against you.
Yes.
But as soon as you're pushing back against the world, it shows you what it's a mirror.
Yeah.
So then you're going to get, the world is going to show up negatively for you, but you got to go first. So you got to show up first, do the calm, and then interesting things happen. The world starts to work for you.
So good. Can I finish with a quote?
Yeah, please.
The author is unknown, so I'm sorry I can't credit it to anyone. But the quote goes like this: each time we faced uncertainty, we emerged stronger. Not because we avoided it, but because we focused on what we could control. And what you can control is your calm.
I love that. So if today's episode has hit a little too close to home for you, or if you're navigating your own version of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, and you're ready to respond with momentum, not just react, I would say now is the time to take action. So I invite you, let's jump on a strategy call and we'll uncover what is it that's keeping you stuck, and we'll map out a bit of a game plan, get you back into momentum, and let's do that fast, whether you're struggling with like team chaos, maybe there's inconsistency around profit, or just feeling unsure about your next move. Whatever it is, this will be the call that actually gives you some clarity. Let's get back into direction, confidence. And it's probably a good time to see if Salon Mastery is a good fit for you. Like if you're wanting to scale to the $1 million, I was going to say the 100 million, and you really want to build that high performing team, or even better, a self-sufficient team, so all the weight's not on your shoulder, then actually you don't need to navigate this VUCA, not VUCA, storm all alone. So I've left the link in the show notes for you to be able to book a call. You're very welcome, and let's build your calm in amongst all of the chaos. So thanks, Joel. Appreciate you coming today. It was really good. Till next time, same place. Keep leading like a Salon CEO. See you next week.
Take care.